Reason number one, you can use your iPad as a DJI remote controller. If you purchase this clip, you can mount up your iPad onto the controller and then use this as a screen. So you have a bigger display than your phone, and also an iPad is far more cheaper. That DJI Smart Remote costs $800. Now I recommend an iPad mini for this particular setup. This is the brand new iPad mini 6. This is going to run you $500, still cheaper than the DJI remote. And the screen on the iPad mini is 8.3 compared to 5.5 on the DJI Smart Remote. And we all know this is the more superior device. You could do more things on the iPad. Perfect way to start off this list. Reason number two, photo and video editing. All of my pictures that you guys see on my Instagram, make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at simplypops, was edited on an iPad Pro using the Lightroom app and sometimes Pixelmator. So the way I edit my photos, I use Lightroom, I adjust the exposure, the contrast, the highlights, and sometimes I even use presets. So all of my pictures are edited on the iPad, and I'm starting to like editing photos on the iPad mini just because of its size. You can fit this iPad in your pocket, but the iPad Pro, you just have that extra screen real estate. So any iPad would do. Nowadays, I don't edit photos on my MacBook just because the iPad is just a little bit more easier because it has a touchscreen. You could pinch to zoom. You have that Apple Pencil support, and you could drop it right on Instagram, right on the iPad itself. When it comes down to video editing, I just like to use my MacBook because I'm used to Final Cut Pro, but you could definitely get the job done right here on your iPad as well. For video editing, I recommend the 12.9-inch iPad Pro for extra screen real estate, or all iPads will get the job done. Reason number three, sketching and drawing. If you like to sketch out different ideas or schematics, you could do so on your iPad thanks to Procreate. Now, when I was building my dream room video, I actually built my entertainment stand and I had somebody build it up for me. So I was really doing all the measurements and I sketched it here on my iPad. And then I also do a little sketching too when I'm bored. So I just sketch something and it's easy. You can take a picture from online, sketch it out, see if you could put a little twist to it. And the iPad just makes things easier if you like to draw things from scratch or just sketch ideas. And it's really just all thanks to that Apple Pencil. Reason number four, scanning and signing documents. I airdrop it to my iPad and I use Notability to sign anything that's necessary. Just makes things so much more easier to annotate files. So in this case, I can highlight important text. I can sign things. The list just goes on and on. You could basically just annotate, use your hands, sign. So signing and annotating documents makes the iPad a compelling option. And the best thing too with this, you can use this on the standard iPad that costs $330. And I would be honest with you, I just want to go back to Notability. I actually use my iPad Pro as a notebook. Now, reason number five, I use my iPad as a notebook for school. So essentially, this was my notebook. Well, not this one per se, but it was the first generation iPad Pro. And I just used that as a notebook. Now, unfortunately, I don't have none of those notes. It was a lot. Once I started this as a new iPad, that was it for those notes. But the first generation iPad Pro, I use that as a notebook. But you want to talk to your professor or teacher to make sure it's okay, because I had one professor that just wasn't having it at all. I took out my iPad Pro, jotting down all the notes, listening to what he was saying, but he was saying no tablets in my class. So so talk with your teacher first before you just get to class with it. But it was a remarkable experience because, as we know, the iPad is super light, super portable, and just having this in your bag with no textbooks is very compelling because all the textbooks were installed on my iPad. Everything using iBooks, using Notability, using that Apple Pencil to annotate notes. Essentially, you have this microphone feature, so you could be able to listen to what the professor is saying and you could jot down notes. So if he's explaining like the midterm or final exam, and it's time to go home, you forgot everything you say or you took some crappy notes, you could be able to listen back to what the professor was saying. So in this case, I could play it. And it's time to go home, you forgot everything you say or you took some crappy notes. So just like that, that was a feature I use all the time. When it was very important and the professor is talking long, this saved me. This app right here, and the iPad Pro saved my college years because without this app, I don't know. uh, Feature number 6, FaceTime calls. The iPad is the perfect device when it comes down to video conferencing thanks to Center Stage. So what Center Stage is going to follow where my face is. So no matter where I move, the camera is always going to keep me in focus. Really cool. I love this a lot. And it's going to make it perfect for any video conferencing. If you want to showcase something, or maybe if you're a teacher and you want to go over some lecture and you moving around, the Center Stage is going to be perfect. Is literally the best device. Even the MacBooks doesn't have the MacBook, or the iPhone doesn't have it. The iPad, pretty much all the iPads have it except for the iPad Air. But in March, Apple's going to refresh it to support Center Stage. So you really can't go wrong with either iPad for this one. Feature number 7, you can use your iPad as an external monitor. So if you want to expand your screen real estate, you can use your iPad. On Windows, you will need to download a third-party application, but on macOS is native stock thanks to Sidecar and the upcoming feature called Universal Control. But essentially, that is going to allow you to use the mouse cursor on your iPad using your Mac, and everything is just so seamless. But I'm talking about actually expanding your computer display. You could do so on your iPad, which is fantastic. I recommend the bigger size iPad, the iPad Pro 12.9 inch, so you have as much screen real estate as possible, but you can use any of the iPads that Apple is selling to accomplish this. Reason number 8, reading. Reading on an iPad, especially on the iPad mini, is a remarkable experience. Now, it's nowhere near as magical as reading an actual book, but just to be able to comfortably hold the iPad mini and reading and swiping through the pages is actually pretty cool. I'm actually reading this book right now, How to Make Her Want You, an amazing book, by the way. But the iPad mini is my recommended iPad if you want to be doing a lot of e-reading. Maybe you're on the plane, you want to read a book. This is the way to go. And going all the way back to my first generation iPad Pro, I used to have my textbook on the side and I had Notability on the other side. And I just used to be jotting down notes, looking at what's going on in the textbook, and just jotting down everything. Man, I was not playing back in the days. I was not playing. I was the only person with the iPad Pro and Apple Pencil. That's when it first came out. But now it's starting to be a little bit more common. Now that the iPad Pro and Apple Pencil has been a thing for the last 5 years now. So, and especially with its display, having that true tone and having night shift is easier on the eyes. And, it just makes it seem like you're reading a piece of paper. And this transition to reason number 9. The iPad is excellent for watching movies, on a plane, on a couch, on your bed. And yet again, this is going to be for any iPad you pick. But if you're going to be on the couch or on the bed, the iPad mini is the way to go. And then you can't even go wrong with the iPad Pro as well, or even the 12.9 inch iPad for the biggest screen if you want to have the immersiveness. But yeah, you really can't go wrong with either or iPad. The iPad is amazing for watching movies. And then reason number 10, playing games. Gaming on the iPad, especially on the bigger iPad display, which I connect my PS5 to my iPad via remote play, and I could be able to just play all my PS5 games right here. And the remote play app has been updated to support cellular carriers. So this is a cellular plus Wi-Fi iPad. So I could go anywhere around the world and play any of my PlayStation games on the go.